Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah Bahasham, Harakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone who rule and teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord, doing the same and teaching the same. Okay. The title of this lesson will be along the lines of you so-called black women. You're trying to demonize the Hebrew Israelite men, okay, and you're also trying to group the false Hebrew Israelites with the true men of the Lord as well, okay. But we're gonna the title probably be a little bit different, but that's pretty much the point of the video, okay. So in a way, because I've been seeing, a lot of women that's not in the truth, or that left the truth, and then they turn around and they try to demonize the men of the Lord, okay. And first, let's get this precept. So we're gonna deal with all those type of topics and situations. All right. Should pop up. Bear with me. What the hell? Made. All right, Salakia. We got the precept. So this first John chapter 2 and 19. It say they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. Okay? So the men, women, and children that leave the truth for whatever reason, that means they just wasn't a part of the elect. All right? Unless the Lord have mercy on you, you end up rekindling, regaining your faith. All right? But that's not that's not something you want to gamble with, okay? All right? Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah is not a respecter of persons when it comes to judgment. All right? That goes for men, women, and children, okay? So, but if you just lead the truth, all right, and let's focus on you women, okay? Because I've been seeing a lot of women, and I'm gonna point this out, all right? This is something that need to be highlighted, okay? You notice that the only women that's leaving the truth are women that was them Israelite women, them IUIC women, okay, them the women that call on Yahweh and all those different false names. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a pattern, okay? It's a pattern that I constantly see. All right. Okay. So and I'm gonna speak on different situations. All right. But yeah, I constantly see that women that believe in false names, or they follow the wrong teachings. They follow the false prophets like IUIC, and then they wonder why they get heavy burdens and heavy burdens put on them or whatever. All right, because IUIC is off. They're teaching an off doctrine. These Yah Israelites, and they calling on these different false names. These guys are off. All right, and they're going to wax worse and worse. The scriptures tell you that. All right. The false prophets, they wax worse and worse. All right. And that brings me back to what that is, and I'm gonna repeat what Elder Manak Zakba said. It's you and what it is. You women be rushing. They be quick to just get a man just because he got on fringes on his t-shirt, and he said he a Hebrew Israelite. All right. But the scriptures tell you not all Israel is of the Most High. Okay. And I'm gonna do a separate lesson on that too. Because the scriptures tell you many are called but few are chosen. Okay. You got the 5 wise virgins, which represents the elect to have the 100% truth, and you got the 5 foolish. All right. Okay. They was lukewarm. All right. They didn't have the 100% truth. All right. I'm just using IUIC as an example. Those guys are half Christians, half Hebrew Israelites. All right. And they all over the place. They all over the place. All right. And the elder apostles, Great Millstone, been warning, been sending out these on down to the least of us, all of us, been warning you to leave them in these other different various camps, like Watchmen for Israel, ISUPK, to these different guys are going off on doctrine. Okay. So if the doctrine is the foundation. All right, this truth, the true names, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, and the doctrine. All right, that's the foundation. If you don't have that right, everything else in your life is gonna fall apart. All right. So let's bear with me trying to find this precept. Here you go. This Malachi 3:18. All right. So I'm repeating what Elder Manak Zakba said. Okay. But you women, you just quickly hop into this thing without discerning between who got the truth and who don't. Okay. All right. And we've been telling you, beginning with the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down to the least of us, and the affiliates. All right. The men that believe in the same thing, the same doctrine, 100% truth, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah. All right, wherever they're scattered in the earth. Okay. All right. It's imperative to have the correct doctrine, 100% truth, and the true name of the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahweh and Yahweh Shah. If you don't have that, you're done for. That house is gonna fall. Okay. All right. So we're gonna, like I say, this might be a kind of like 20 to 30 minute video because it's a lot of different situations that I've been meditating on, and I'm like, you can see how it can overthrow someone's faith. All right. So I might not even speak on all the different situations just because I want to keep the video kind of short. All right. But, Lord willing. So this Malachi 3:18. Malachi 3:18. Then shall you return to discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, and him that serveth him not. That's right. So this truth, okay, yes, you got different camps and things like that, and you got multiple Hebrew Israelites all over the place. All right, but a lot of them are going off. All right, and this I'm not talking about the ones that's teaching the same thing as GMS Great Millstone. Not talking about those brothers. Shalom to those brothers. All right, but you gotta what it say, discern between the righteous and the wicked. Okay, who's actually teaching 100% truth, and who's not. All right, and like the dealing with the tabernacle of David, that represents the elect. All right, you got the house of David and you got the house of Saul. The house of David represents the elect, and the house of Saul represents what? The false prophets. Okay, so one is going to wax worse and worse, and the other is going to wax greater and greater. Okay, so yeah, you gotta you can't just be quickly just hopping in this thing, and you just the first man you see. I'm speaking to the women, but the first man you see, if you single, but you trying to you believe in the faith, all right, and you just quickly just make moves without even figuring out what doctrine, what names you believe in, what doctrine you believe in. All these things matter. Okay, all right. So some of you women just don't have discernment. All right, don't have discernment, and you just hop out there. All right. So this Malachi 3:18. I mean, Salakia. Let's see what I want. All right. So we're gonna kind of shift gears, because I already got the precepts I want to speak on. I'm gonna try to just stick to these precepts, because there's a lot that I gotta cover over, but it's gonna lead into different situations I'm gonna speak on. All right. Oh, bear with me, my son just woke up. Let me give me a second. So starting off with Romans 8:19, okay? So it says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right? We're those creatures, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua created us. All right? So those of us in the household of faith, we're patiently waiting on a what? We seek a country to come. All right, we look for new heavens and a new earth. We're patiently waiting on the Lord to what? To free us out of this captivity, to free us from these this sinful flesh, this corruptible flesh. All right, because in these bodies, that's prone to sin, subject to lust and different things like that. All right, the Lord is going to deliver us from these vile bodies. Okay, so even being in these bodies is another captivity. All right, because being in this weak, sinful flesh, it's impossible to keep the law perfectly. All right, but we try to keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. All right, in honesty, in integrity. Okay, but you're going to be saved through hope. Okay, having hope and faith and believing in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Okay, believing in the names and the doctrine. Okay, this doctrine of life. All right, and in faith, hope is a gift. All right, that the Lord instills in you, you know, from birth. Okay? Because everything is already predestinated. The elect is predestined to, whenever they come into the truth, they're going to come in and they're going to build up their faith, and they're going to, you know, gain knowledge in the truth, and, you know, they're going to stand to the truth, leading all the way up to being delivered and saved on those chariots, so-called UFOs. Okay? And 2/3 of our people, they're never going to have faith in the Lord. And you have some 2/3 that come in the truth and then they leave back out the truth. They come in the truth and they leave back out. But they was always a 2/3, you know, predestined to be a 2/3, but they just came into the truth and left, you know, and then they maybe or maybe not became a scoffer and started just, instead of teaching the truth, they just try to teach people that, hey, these guys are wicked. You know, every video they make, they trying to demonize the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? All right? Okay? So it says, all right, verse 20. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope. Okay? You know, so we was prone to go off. And like Elder Apostle Gabar always say, all right, we had to learn wickedness in order to appreciate righteousness. All right? So it says, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. Right? The Lord is going to deliver us from these wicked bodies, sinful flesh. All right? And the Lord is going to do that at the same time as he's delivering us out of captivity. Okay? All right? And we can prove that. Okay? Real quick, we're going to prove that. All right? First, we're going to go to 1 Thessalonians. All right? Yeah, I'm going to kind of try to speed through. All right? So this first, 1 Thessalonians 4:15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. Yeah, you know, those that was in the truth, you know, that died in this truth, okay, all right, they're still going to get their reward. The Lord is going to raise them up out of the graves, and they're going to, you know, float up into the chariots, so-called UFOs, okay? And, you know, they're going to be given new bodies, all right? So it says they're going to be turned into immortals, superhumans, all right? It says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, all right, because the Lord coming back in a spaceship, a huge spaceship, and, you know, the other angels, they're going to have, you know, smaller spaceships as well, all right? You know, so-called UFOs, which the Bible calls chariots, okay? Clouds, whirlwind, all right? You know, they're just dependent on the precept, okay? So it says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of Yahweh, and the dead in Hamashiach Yahweh shall rise first, right? You know, so they're going to rise first. All right, you know, the elect that's in the graves, all right, they're going to rise first. They're going to receive their reward, okay? Like I said. So it says, then after that, then we which are alive and remain, all right, no matter where you at. You can be, you know, hiding in the woods, all right, off the grid in the woods, or off the grid in the city, wherever you at, you know, the Lord is going to pick you up. The Lord going to have his angels, you know, in the different UFOs, different spaceships. They're going to be picking up the elect, okay? So it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, all right, the chariots, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words, okay? And guess what? Okay, somebody just pulled up. At the same time, the Lord is, picking you up into their chariot. The Lord is going to change your body. Okay? I might just get straight to it. No, I ain't gonna get straight to it, Salakia. I ain't gonna get straight to it. It's just I'm gonna start at 49 for this quote. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna just read all this. I'm gonna read all that. All right. So starting at 49. 1 Corinthians 15 and 49, and as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I shew you a mystery: we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Right. So not all of the believers are going to die. Okay. Yeah, some of the believers are going to be martyrs. All right, they're going to be beheaded for the faith, and the Lord gave them the strength and the faith to go through that. Okay, but not all the elect is going to be captured and run down and killed. Okay, so it says, "Behold, I shew you a mystery: we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed." Okay. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Right. All right. So you're going to be simultaneously, as you floating up into the spaceship, you're going to be changed, transformed. The Lord going to give you a new body. You're going to be turned into an immortal. All right. So basically, like in the movie Superman, they call them Kryptonians. I think it's another term, but I can't think of it. But basically, we're gonna be a bunch of superhumans, okay? And that's only for Israelites, beginning with the elect, okay? 2/3 they're gonna die on this side, all right? And the rebels, which the rebels are wicked Israelites, they're scattered around the earth. Okay. Salakia. And but they're gonna, through reincarnation, regeneration, they're gonna be born back into the kingdom through sex. All right. And they're gonna just be born immortals. All right. So they're gonna come back as the elect children. But they're going to be born immortals and, and inherit all those blessings. Okay? Hence Romans 11 and 25 on down. Okay? So it says, all right, we shall be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Okay? And we're never going to die again. Yeah, I'll just read all of it, because I was about to stop. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin. The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. Okay? Because the law, that's how sin is measured, by the law. All right? That's why the scripture said, where there is no law, there is no transgression. Okay? And I'm going to give you an example. Like, we can cuss, rude speech, like stupid hoe, bitch, and those are cuss words, those are rude speech, but it's not a sin to say those. All right. Now it's a time and a place to use cuss words. Okay. All right. Yeah, you don't just go around just because it's not a sin. You don't go around just cussing brothers out, cussing people out. No, but it's a time and place for that though. All right. So that's just to give you an example of where there's no law, there's no transgression. Okay, and that's what some Christians don't understand. They'll be trying to judge you, but they'll be judging you just based off emotion and the mindset of these in the philosophy of Christianity. All right, so Christians don't judge according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. They don't judge according to the Bible. They judge according to how you make them feel or whatever like that. And they just say a bunch of shit, but they never come out of the scriptures. Okay? So that's just to give you an example. It's not a sin to cuss. All right? But like I say, it's a right and wrong time to when it's appropriate. Okay? And of course, if you say it at the wrong time, you can get in trouble, of course. All right? Like, it's not wise. It's stupid to cuss out a police officer. That's stupid. Okay? You're supposed to, obey them, get your ticket, tell them have a nice day, put your seatbelt on and drive off. All right? So, I'm gonna kind of speed it up though, because I know I'm probably at 20 minutes by now. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna shift gears, kind of get back. All right. Did I read this? Okay, I read that. So, kind of speed it up, and this just for edification for you women that's in the truth, okay? Or you might be a Israelite woman that's you in the truth, but or you just finding out the truth. All right, so Lord willing, this is edifying. And all right, that's why brothers lately, I've been seeing brothers doing lessons on warning your so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women that's in the truth. Because why? Satan desired to sift you as wheat. So that's why you got all these black women, nigger women, these hoes and tramps of the world. They trying their hardest to convince women that's in the truth, hey, you dumb, you stupid for submitting to a man. So they're trying their hardest to get a woman that's in the truth to leave the truth and come back to whole culture, to come back to that Jezebel spirit, to come back to feminism, to the ways of Christianity, and which is lawlessness. Do as thou wilt. That's all Christianity really is. They don't give a fuck. All right? That's why the Lord is going to, destroy those that have that mindset. Okay? And not just them, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that's into Islam, spiritualism outside of the Bible. Okay? And what I mean by spiritualism, you Israelites that's on that you don't serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You don't believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right, you don't believe in the Bible, but you got Israelites. They believe in the universe. They believe in nature. They believe in the sun. Okay, they believe in frequencies and vibrations, but they don't believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. The Lord is going to destroy you. Okay, point blank. Period. All right, so might have to do a part 2. I gotta see how long it. Yeah, I'm gonna do a part 2. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so Lord willing, us edifying, want to end and give all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Harakakwadash. Double honors to male apostles, great millstone, ruling to teach well, and honors and salutations to the men of the Lord doing the same teaching the same.